And we will be underway shortly here of round 12 here in Orlando.
Not only a 3-0 in this pod, but an excellent opportunity to snag a top 8 with a good performance in the next draft pod.
Melissa with the plains to start things off. Jason with the plains of his own. DeTora with the forest. And now there is a Seeker of the Way. So that's a great way to start things off here for Melissa. Debilitating injury is going to slow her down a touch. Got to get the Seeker off of the table. Doesn't want to take the beatdowns too much. There's a Smoke Teller. Just a passing of the turn. So DeTora without a third land. A plains here for Myatt. And it'll be a morph. If DeTora has an island, see what that morph is. But
check out the action.
I don't think that's going to be necessary.
I think she may have better things to do with her mana or to rip land number 3 this turn.
Here is an attack. We'll see if Myatt has any interest in blocking. And it looks like the answer is yes. Perhaps a trick. There is one.
And Melissa has to be thrilled with this because I do not believe that she has land number 3. So getting to cash in this Feat of Resistance for, what in essence, Jason's entire turn, the last turn, is a big win.
There's a copy of Feat of Resistance that was cast. So the Smoke Teller gets a little bit larger, but Assault Road Patrol is going to block the road, or at least try to. This will come down past the turn back. Look like Myatt may not have blocked the Smoke Teller. Not entirely sure.
No, I think he blocked. If he blocked with his morph last turn, I'm sure he's blocking with the Assault Road Patrol this turn.
Just want to make sure, that's all. You saw Archer's Parapet come down for DeTora and a morph there from Myatt. Myatt having some mana issues in his 4-color deck. You see only Swamps and Plains out there. DeTora having some mana issues of her own, but there is a third land finally.
Still no black mana, and it appears that black is the splash in Melissa's list, that she has 3 swamps versus 6 plains and 5 forests.
Smoke Teller, red zone, yet again. Not afraid. Looks like a double block here. All right.
If Jason's doing this, he must not value this morph very highly.
Yeah, that's definitely the case, right?
Because the Assault Road Patrol kind of has the Smoke Teller on lock regardless.
There's an Awaken the Bear. So, Assault Road Patrol is going to bite the dust now. So DeTora with the combat trick. +3/+3 and trample. See if Myatt's able to put together this time. All right, here's a morph.
So I imagine Jason's doing this with the intent of running back the same. Oh, excuse me. It's much riskier for him to run back the same block from last turn now, as any trick is probably game ending.
Well, she's already used 2, right? So maybe it's worth a try. We'll see. There's a morph there for DeTora. So no attack for her. See what Myatt wants to put together on his turn. Game is pretty even at this point. You see both players at 20. Third morph. There's been some mana troubles for each. But
the biggest problem here is that Jason's in this squeeze where he can't really block, nor can he attack.
Yeah.
So if he finds his 3rd color mana, it probably unlocks a sizable portion of his hand and he can start doing things. But for the time being,
well, DeTora can't start attacking now. She's going to reveal Armament Core 2 Watcher of the Roost. So DeTora will gain 2 life, go up to 22, and attack in the air. Myatt's going to go down to 18. And as we have seen many times over the course of this weekend, flying is a very, very powerful ability in this limited format.
Games get locked up. I mean, people are just cranking out morph after morph after morph.
So we're going to play another morph. Pass the turn back. Myatt will draw a card. It's a forest, so finally a different color of mana. Again, he has a 4-color deck. That forest, I have to imagine, is important. He's going to take a look at the morphs that he has have in play.
But because that Archer's Parapet, still, going on the offensive is still pretty tough for Jason at this stage.
And there's an attack. Let's not forget, too, in this format, 5 mana is the flashpoint. Awaken the Bear here. It's going to take care of the Parapet.
And Melissa's probably okay with that exchange. I mean, maybe now Jason starts to get on the offensive, but Melissa already has a board better suited for racing than what Jason has, with a flyer, ahead on the life count, and a 3-3.
It does seem to be it does seem difficult, to be upset with that exchange. I would think Awaken the Bear trading for an Archer's Parapet. Yeah, that's okay with me.
Especially with Melissa missing black mana. I mean, this is another good exchange for Melissa on the surface of things.
Looks like we're going to double block a morph here. What's this going to be? Well then. That Hydra is rather hooded. You see Jason's taking a look at this. This is not the first time we've seen players take a look at this card. What is this going to be? Oh, wow, he's delving. And that's a murderous cut. So he's going to get to keep his morphs, but DeTora will get 5 snakes due to Hooded Hydra dying. That's a heck of a magic card, though, is Hooded Hydra.
I guess that could have been worse for Jason, because if he doesn't have murderous cut, the game probably ends.
He loses both of his morphs?
Yeah, and is facing down a 5-5 with a really powerful death trigger. But, again, Jason now, when the same squeeze before of can't really play offense, can't really play defense.
Yep. We can't forget the 2 damage to come across in the air last turn, too, due to the Watcher of the Roost. I imagine that's going to happen again this turn in just a moment. But the 2 morphs, actually 3 out there for Jason. You see the Anak Bondkin as well. And this makes things a little bit more difficult, I suppose. DeTora getting very, very aggressive here. See the Rush of Battle being cast.
Yep, that's a 1 of in her list. Normally you do not see this card in decks sort of as mid-rangey as Melissa's, but she does have a lot of early aggression in her deck. And in this spot, it is really good.
Creatures you control get +2/+1 until end of turn. Warrior creatures you control gain lifelink until end of turn. Not a lot of warriors out there, actually. I believe there are 0, but that doesn't matter.
Well, arguably, this card is better with snakes than with warriors. So
I suppose that's true. I suppose that's true. Looks like
he's tapping.
Yeah, he's just tapping out because there are just going to be no good blocks in the situation. He's going to lose a lot of his team, so he's going to reveal his morphs, the Master of the Hidden Way, and then 2 copies of Woolly Locks on, and he's going to pack all of those up. So Melissa DeTora is going to win game number 1 here over Jason Myatt. Abzan up a game over the 4-color deck, and it feels like to me, this is the first time that we have seen Rush of Battle be cast. It does feel a little bit like an overrun, not an exact parallel, but it feels kind of like that effect.
It's one of those cards that's really easy to overvalue because whenever your opponent casts it against you, it's probably going to be really powerful. And in R&D, we've actually referred to this sometimes as the overrun fallacy.
Okay.
Whenever your opponent casts it against you, it's probably going to kill you because they're casting it. You don't see the games where it's stuck in their hand, uncastable because you killed too many of their creatures or the ground is built up or whatever the case may be. So cards like Rush of Battle, in my mind, generally get overrated and limited because when you see it being cast against you, it's normally in a spot like this, where Melissa has a bunch of tokens in play and you're conceding to it. It's harder to visualize the games where it's not good because it's usually stranded in your opponent's hand. It's not a card they're casting.
Okay. See, both players are going to go to the sideboard here.
This is not to say Overrun is a weak card in Limited.
Of course.
Overrun's quite powerful, but it is overvalued often because all of your experiences playing against it is your opponent casting Overrun and killing you.
Yeah. Rarely do you cast an Overrun that just kind of, kills a few creatures and stuff like that. You're trying to set it up to be a game-winning effect.
Exactly.
That's all you ever think of when it happens.
Exactly.
And trust me, there are certainly times when you draw Overrun and it's horrible.
Yes.
It doesn't do anything.
But as the opponent, they never see that.
Correct.
Because it's just in your hand as other things are going on.
Yep. And the entire time you're trying to set it up so that it can be lethal. DeTora up a game here. Pretty good spot to be in if she's able to win this match. She moves on to 11-1 and very, very close to another Grand Prix top 8 on her resume.
And Rush of Battle clearly much weaker than Overrun.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But it does have some of the same moments of, we were kind of playing a game and it looked like it was close and you had some stuff in play and then you just killed me out of nowhere, like we just saw in that game. So it can still have that Overrun effect, but nowhere near the same power level.
Well, if you are just joining us, we do appreciate having you. Cedric Phillips, Patrick Sullivan, Matthias Hunt, the rest of the SCG Live crew here bringing you Grand Prix Orlando. We are in round 12 of 15 of Khans of Tarkir Limited. We did 9 rounds of sealed yesterday. Just had only 2,300 players do battle. Today, about 200 and change came back this morning.
It's and only cut 7-2.
Yeah, only one's going to be champion here. Melissa DeTora is well on her way to doing that. Up a game here against Jason Myatt, sitting at 10-1. If she's able to win one of these next two games, 11-1 is one heck of a record to have going into the next pod.
3-0ing a pod and X1 in the tournament is a great position to make a run at the top 8.
So let's see what Myatt's able to put together. Looks like he's going to keep. He's got a Plains, and he's got the very powerful Mardu Hate Blade to start things off. DeTora with just a Plains. She will pass the turn back.
One of the better one-drops in the format. Perhaps the only really playable one-drop in the format besides Disowned Ancestor.
Yeah, I like Mardu Hate Blade quite a bit as Myatt's just going to pass the turn back after playing a Swamp. DeTora has a Swamp, and she will play a copy of Chief of the Edge. This one gives the beatdowns +1/+0 to other warrior creatures as a 3/2 on its own. Jason will gain a life with the Thornwood Falls and hang back on defense with the ability to give Death Touch. So it looks like his mana is coming together a little bit better this game. DeTora looks like just going to pass the turn back.
Very odd to miss a play on turn 3. Very infrequent in this format.
Yeah. No morph. There is a banner there for Myatt. So again, that'll be a little bit more mana fixing for him. It's an Abzan banner. He does have a lot of banners in his pool. He has 2 Abzan banners. He's only playing 1. He also has 3 copies of Sultai banner. He's not playing any of those. There is a Defiant Strike. Looks like Melissa just wants to cantrip here.
Super Sunday Series players, we are aware that there is an issue with your points. Please be patient with us.
So back to DeTora we do go.
We will keep you updated as further things progress.
See what she can put together on this turn. Does have a forest now.
Yeah, looks like that was the draw this turn, so paid off for cycling that Defiant Strike.
Now here's an attack. Any trades to be had?
Well, this is a risky block because of the feat of resistance that Jason saw in the first game. He may have no choice here because this play's not worth very much.
Well, he has a feat of resistance of his own. So he's got some real interest in keeping that Mardu Hate Blade, and he will win that war. There's a forest, and this is the very, very powerful Sultai Flare. I like this card a lot. 4 mana, 3/4. Whenever a creature with toughness 4 or more dies, you gain 4 life.
The size is great in this format, and it's not uncommon for this thing to gain 8 or 12 life over the course of a game.
So the Hate Blade's going to come into the red zone there. DeTora, no interest in blocking. We'll take 2.
To me, the most important cards are the powerful single color spells. Easy to cast and high impact.
Master of the Hidden Way, 3/2 unblockable. Don't see that one hard cast a lot, normally morphed, but given Jason's mana situation, able to use all of his mana this turn, there is the Mystic. That thing can keep attacking. Torque really can't do a lot about it. She'll attack herself for 3 with the Flare.
It's not that efficient to unmorph, nor is it a surprise when you unmorph it, because you had to do it preemptively. So I found myself hard casting this more than I initially anticipated. It's not nice to pay full retail, but the morphing and unmorphing of it is also not that efficient.
Smoke Teller. When DeTora's plays last turn, along with Seeker of the Way. So just more 2-drops. She looks like she's just a low to the ground deck, much like what we've seen from a lot of other players this weekend. Mystic's going to come into the red zone. And for 3, DeTora's going to go down to 14.
And relative to his mana base, Jason's deck is not demonstrating a lot of power right now.
Yeah, that's for sure. Given that he has a 4-color deck, you're expecting to see that Haymaker.
Yeah, and you're just seeing, you know, marginal card, another marginal card.
That's a good card.
All right, we got our first good one. There you go.
I was on Falconeer. Is one heck of a magic card. So DeTora will draw.
I think the Falconeer, after watching it this weekend, is definitely in contention for one of the best non-rares in the set. Definitely in contention for one of the best non-rares in the set.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Falconer is really, really good. Let's see what's 5 mana. There's Armored Core. You want to talk about a good uncommon?
Yep.
Bunch of 3-power creatures are coming into the red zone now. Can't forget that the Armored Core is a 4 itself.
And, you know, Melissa trading any of her creatures here for this Hate Blade is not ideal because they're all so much higher in quality, but she just has to make that trade at some point, so.
It looks like Myatt has no interest in trading at all, so now I'm wondering exactly what's going on. I feel like that's a situation where he probably trades. So he did have black mana available due to the banner. Is it going to get any better for the Hate Blade?
It's just a lot of damage to take.
Yeah.
You also get the opportunity to make a trade there that doesn't trigger the Flare, which is it's small potatoes at this stage of the game, but it's another consideration.
It's not nothing. Let's see what he's trying to set up. It feels like he's trying to set up something if he's not blocking that turn. He's going to play a morph and just pass the turn back. DeTora's going to untap those creatures, and all 5 of those land. She does have 3 cards in the grip. A 4th one added for a draw step. You can see the Archer's Parapet. That one's not going to play a huge role, it seems, in this game.
I think Melissa may have Awaken the Bear in her hand, in which case any block here from Jason. And you had to imagine if he's not attacking this turn with Mystic of the Hidden Way, that he is trying to set up a large block this turn.
And Melissa is going to attack with all the creatures, feeling rather confident that there are not very many great blocks available here for Myatt. So let's see how he's going to try to block. And again, we'll find out if that morph is relevant. However, he only has 4 mana available right now. So as far as a sweet spot on mana is concerned, that's at 5 mana in this format.
And this is why it's so good to be on the aggressive on this format, you know? It's with your mana available, your opponent's morphs don't mean very much. And when you have mana and your opponent doesn't, your morphs are exceptional, theirs are non-functional. And the opposite is true.
I do see your blocks. Looks like Smoke Teller's going to get through. The Sultai Flare is going to be double blocked by the Abzan, Falconeer, and the Morph. You got Mystic of the Hidden Way in front of Seeker of the Way. And then the Mardu Hate Blade in front of the Armored Core. Melissa's going to tap some mana here. I imagine this will be Awaken the Bear to beat these 2 creatures in combat.
This is the most obvious block, and we'll see if he has a Murderous Cut here to defend this off. Yep. So this is still fine, as it means both the Seeker of the Way triggers and plays over the top of the Mystic, and he no longer has black mana available to give Death Touch to the Hate Blade.
Sure. So this is still a fine exchange.
This is still good for Melissa.
Yeah. She's going to clear some things out of the way. Of course, she'll also gain some more life, too, because Seeker triggers it as lifelink, of course. So still a pretty good turn, as you did mention.
Even with Jason having one of the best tricks in the format available, combat was still a success for Melissa.
Jungle Hollow the play after combat. Melissa's going to go up to 23. She's got the better board at this point. Jason will draw a card again. We don't know what the morph is. So I suppose that's the big question.
And going back to Jason not cashing in that Hate Blade when he had black mana available, this turn got forced into a combat where he just chump blocked with it. And the Smoke Teller, which could have been traded with, is now still trucking along uncontested.
Melissa going to tap some mana here. It's Rush of Battle again. Looking to go for lethal with everybody, or at least one heck of an attack. We can't forget it gives +2/+1 on the back end, too. Looks like something's going to be unmorphed here. All right, Willie locks it on. Pretty big butt on that thing.
But this is still, you know, a chump block on the other block for Jason, so he's still taking 5 damage here, falling to 1, and facing 2 creatures against 1 blocker.
We can't forget, too, that DeTora is gaining a ton of life in these exchanges, right? You know, Seeker of the Way is, you know, gaining life, of course, and we saw Sultai Flare die. That's going to gain some life. So even if Jason is able to stabilize at this 1 with the Archer's Parapet as the follow-up, I don't think he's going to be able to. He's going to show 2 swaps so he can see the game. So Melissa DeTora is going to win this match over Jason Myatt, 2-0. And for Melissa, 3-0's the pod, moves on to 11-1.